and welcome to Rolling with Reviews. I'm Will, and with me is the center of my 7x7 grid,
Sarah.
And today we're doing a review of Kingdomino Origins. Sarah, tell us a bit about this game.
All right. Through tile drafting, players create prehistoric kingdoms through domino-like gameplay. This version of the game has 3 modes of play, each one adding more difficulty. All right, Will, where did we get this game?
So we are fans of Kingdomino. We, in fact, got all the expansions to Kingdomino. And then when we heard that this isn't compatible, we waited. But we were interested because we knew it did different things. Put it on wishlist, decided to wait, and fortunately, for my birthday, I got it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It worked out really well. So, what do we like about the game?
I personally love the player agency.
Yes.
So in Kingdomino, sometimes you felt the game played you because of just how you laid out your kingdom. It would be dumb to pick any other tile but that particular one because it's slotted perfectly in here, or that space. This one introduced volcanoes, and what volcanoes do is, for the most part, they're a dead space. But they can add fire. Fire essentially works like crowns in the other game. To determine the points of a given area, you add up all the word they use is perpendicularly connected land masses of the same type. So desert, 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 desert. Count them all up. Then times it by the number of fires that are on there. And so volcanoes can add fires to those things, thus giving you so much more agency in how your areas score.
Right. And then you move on to the next mode and it adds resources. And I'm forgetting at the moment, but that one you wanted groups of resources?
So for the resources, there are 4 different land masses that give you their own specific resource. Mammoths on grasslands, mushrooms in jungles, flint in the mountainous crag area, and fish in the lakes. Now, each resource that is still on your board at the end of the game is worth a point. However, if you have the most of a given resource, you get a totem, which is worth a number of points based on how difficult it is to get that resource. So there's another level of competition between the players while you're playing the second mode.
Right.
Then you move into the third mode where the resources stop
giving you points.
Stop giving you points, but instead you use them to buy cavemen.
Right, but the cavemen, that's what I was thinking of. The cavemen, some of them do need resources adjacent. So you can't go spending all your resources willy-nilly and getting a bunch of cavemen. You might need to keep some because some of them score based on the resources around them.
Yeah, for example, the hunter. He will be in the center, and he will want as many mammoths around him. For each one there is, worth 3 points.
Yeah, it's a lot. So having these different options, it makes you think about the game differently. And again, this is where the difficulty comes into play because you still have to make points out of your terrain. But now you have this second level of scoring that's happening on top of the terrain level. So you have to balance between, okay, do I want to make that region bigger and therefore hopefully more points, or do I maybe put it somewhere else where, yeah, I don't get points for the terrain as much, but it gives me that resource in the right place that I need it.
Yeah. In addition, there's also a resource management element to it because in order to get a caveman, you have to use 2 different resources.
Right.
So you can't just stockpile one resource and feel like you're going to be fine with it. Additionally, maybe there's a caveman that you know is absolutely perfect for what you're building. Well, if you use one of each resource, so all 4 of them, you can just dig through the caveman piles instead of relying on the 4 that are out there on any given round. Grab the one you want, and that's the way you get it.
Yep, I did that in one of the games, and I don't know if it's what won me the game, but it definitely contributed to my winning score.
Yes.
So it can be very powerful, but you do have to balance it, and that does mean you have to do variety. But that makes it a more engaging and more challenging game. But we've been kind of talking about all the different modes, and that's another aspect that we really like is this game scales to your player's skill level. So if you're playing it with more casual players, you're probably going to stick to the basic mode that just has the volcanoes and you're just putting the fire tokens in different places. But the nice thing is that does offer that additional, like we said, player agency and engagement to the game.
Yeah, I would say the base of Kingdomino Origins is still better than the base of original Kingdomino.
Agreed. Because you could have a really poor game of the original Kingdomino just because of randomness. You get stuck at the bottom for too long, especially if you're playing with 4 players. And so you could be really behind other people. But in Origins, as long as you can potentially get 1 or 2 volcanoes, place them strategically so that you add that fire to your best scoring section, you can still be competitive and you can still feel good about the game that you played.
Yeah.
We also really love the shaped meeples. That it's just fun. Not just the caveman, but the different resources. You get the mammoth and the fish and the flint.
Yeah, you definitely feel like you get a lot more production.
Oh, yeah, and the mushroom.
Yeah.
So yeah, it feels like you get a lot more production, and they're good little meep, and they're tiny little meeples, but they're good. So yeah, it's just really fun. Oh, and another part that I really love about Kingdomino, just the versions we've played so far, including this one, and I mean this one continues, is the cutesy little scenes on the art. Like I know what in the original Kingdomino, I absolutely love getting like the dragon shadow because the dragon's flying overhead, or Nessie in the water. And what was it? This one had a octopus or
coming
something?
out of the water.
Yeah, and we haven't paid attention to all of them because we're learning how the game works. And unfortunately, this one does cover up more of the art.
Yes, because you'll throw meeples on there. You'll throw fire tokens on there. You'll throw caveman tokens on there. So yeah, that does get covered up.
Right. So you might miss out on some of the cutesy, but it's still there. It's still there. I think that covers a lot of what we like about the game. So there's a few things we don't particularly like, and the rules for the 2-player setup is not very clear, and it feels like they just kind of crammed it into the back as best as they could.
It really feels like it's an afterthought.
Yeah.
Even though it feels like a really solid game, it's just, oh yeah, you're the 2-player, oh yeah, back room, you know, the part that's all covered in dust where we don't really care about, and that's just how it presents it in the rules.
So it's a little unfortunate because I know a lot more games now are putting the 2-player rules setup in the setup because the game is made for 2 to 4 players. Why are you hiding how it plays for 2 players? It just feels, and I hate to use this term, but it feels a little insulting that we are not the only people that play 2 players. A lot of people are. And so the fact that you have to go to the back, it's in a section titled optional and additional rules. So it does reinforce that, 2 players is a afterthought. Again, it's just the way that it's presented. I'm pretty sure this was not intentional. And I know that in a lot of games, the 2-player setup still is put in the back, but it feels kind of old school at this point. And also, like I said, the part that's more frustrating is that fact that it wasn't clear. It feels like they tried to fit it in as small of a few as words possible, and they could have just used another couple sentences just to make it really clear.
Yeah, the most complex part is when it was talking about the start of the game, one person will be on 1 and 4, the other person will be on 2 and 3, and the way it worded it, it sounded like, well, you're still only taking 2 turns and you always kind of have to be that way.
Yeah, it really, if you read it a certain way, it seems like you do that for the rest of the game.
But that's not the case.
But it's not the case. We checked on BGG. It's only for setup to make it fair and equitable to get the game started.
Yeah.
And, honestly, the other thing that we don't like about the game is the fact that it isn't combinable. I know it's a choice they made. I don't blame them, but on the other hand, that's been the cool thing of you can buy Kingdomino, you can buy Queendomino, you have the Age of Giants expansion, and you could mix and match it however you see fit. And here comes along this, and it's not. And so it just feels, I don't know, a bit alien.
Yeah, again, that's why we didn't rush out and pick it up.
Right.
Because we didn't feel like, oh, you have all that? Well, that's great. Can you buy it again? No? All right. we'll wait for it as a gift, and we got
Yeah.
it. So,
Small things there.
yes.
Okay.
All right. Time for reviews. So, on Rolling with Reviews, we each have 1d6 worth rating to give. 1 is low, 6 is high. We give a number, a reason why, add those two numbers together, and see what it rolled for us. Sarah, what did Kingdomino Origins roll for you?
It rolled a 5. I will have to say, I think this is the best version of Kingdomino. It's just a clear evolution where they took everything they learned about, the originals, Queendomino, Kingdomino, and just streamlined it and took the funnest parts and tweaked it. Because like we said, this is in no way exactly like anything they've come before. Yes, there was tiles in Queendomino, but they were done differently. So it definitely feels like a evolution, like Kingdomino 2.0. And I just like the player agency that it gives people. The fact that even with the most basic mode, you have a new choice to make. I do feel like for me, my favorite mode is that second mode where you're just using the resources, not using the tribes. Tribes was just a little much. I got it, but I think for the most part, I'm more likely going to just want to do the resource gathering, not managing it and buying the tribe tiles. Otherwise, yeah, I'm with Will. If you do not have any Kingdomino, buy this first. I will still say, though, that if you like this and you want more, just go for Queendomino. But that's my opinion because I really like Queendomino and I like what it does. It is definitely that more gamery game feeling. So that would be it for me. If I, had this, I get this first. I mean, if I didn't have anything, I'd get this first and then I get Queendomino.
All right. For me, it rolled a 6.
Wow.
I like Kingdomino.
Good thing you got it for your birthday.
Yeah, well, I like Kingdomino. I like everything it does. Kingdomino Origins does that, but better. Mm-hmm. So I would rate Kingdomino fairly high. But Kingdomino Origins just being an overall better experience. Plus, with the 3 modes of play, it's everything I want out of Kingdomino in one box. Sarah likes mode 2. I like mode 3. It's in there, but I don't have a problem with mode 2. I don't have a problem with mode 1, and I like them all. Most of the time when I played a version of Kingdomino, the first versions, I would be more enthralled with just figuring out how to build perfect squares. Mm-hmm. I had a great time. I barely won any of them.
That's true.
This one, I can do that and still feel with the volcanoes and the extra bits, feel like I have a chance of moving around. Plus, it's rewarding points all over the place. The scores are just generally higher than the other games. Mm-hmm. So for that reason, I'm not only having fun like I did before, I'm doing more, I'm feeling more rewarded, and I can have 3 games in one.
Yeah.
For a lower price.
That's very true.
And it has shaped meeples. So, yeah, it's clearly a 6. It just knocked my socks off. Anything that I have negative about it is just like, well, I don't like where you put the things in the rules. That's
true. It is a pretty minor complaint.
We're reaching at that point. So between the two of us, 11 out of 12, an incredibly insane score for this game. And that's saying something considering I still recommend that if you have everything of Kingdomino, you probably still don't need this game.
I mean, unless you are diehard Kingdomino like us, but even then, we didn't buy this. We waited to get it as a gift. I mean, we probably would have bought it eventually.
Yeah.
But we really weren't rushing out to get it, even though we had a feeling we'd really enjoy it. So it's really, your mileage may vary. If you have everything Kingdomino, maybe you do want it, maybe you don't, maybe you get it, maybe you get rid of everything you had before. But it's really good.
It's called what, a Kingdomino killer?
Yeah.
So Kingdomino killed Kingdomino. Sorry, Kingdomino Origins killed Kingdomino.
Yep.
For me, but I'll probably still play Kingdomino. So
we still own it.
Yeah. So 11 out of 12, great score. And that will do it for us at Rolling With Reviews. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can reach us on the various social media platforms at
Rolling with Two, that's TWO. We're on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And on YouTube, please like and subscribe.
Well, from these cavemen to you, we've been Rolling with Reviews.